and we'll put your picture in the paper.
Oh, really?
Yeah? You okay with that?
I gotta get that paper.
Oh, yeah. We'll get you a copy. We'll even get a few copies for your granddaughters.
She'd love that.
I know it. It says a happy 102nd birthday, Louise.
Oh,
Did we get it right?
they sure did.
All right.
What a cake.
What do you like to listen to?
Oh, I like so many. It's hard to choose. I can't say which.
How about Let Me Call You Sweetheart?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We like that one. Maybe we'll have to find that one and play it for you.
Or sing it to her.
We could sing it.
We could sing it.
What a pretty 102-year-old. Absolutely. Happy birthday, Louise.
Thank you.
Yes.
This is our guest of honor today, Louise Newhouse, and she is 102 years old today. That is wonderful. So we have some of your fellow residents here with us, and we've got a lot of the staff here, and we would like to sing happy birthday to you.
Oh, how nice.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, Sharon.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Louise. Happy birthday to you.
Do you have anything to say to us? We need a birthday speech.
Well, thank you all for coming. I just love to see you all.
Anything else?
I should have a lot to say, but I kind of get tongue-tied.
You didn't know you were going to be put on the spot, huh?
That's it.
Ask her what the secret is. What's the secret to being 102?
Work plenty hard.
Okay. Work plenty hard.
I lived on a farm and I did a lot of outside work, man work, and I think it just made me stronger.
Good advice. Do you have any advice for the rest of us other than working hard?
Or just keep working. As long as you can.
Did you ever have any snowstorms on any of your other birthdays?
Did I ever have what?
Any snowstorms on your other birthdays?
One, I guess.
Yeah? Do you remember which one?
I think it was the 100.
2 years ago. That could have been.
I think you're right. Yeah. Do you remember your 100th birthday when we had the choir come and sing to you? They were supposed to be here today, but guess what?
Well,
They didn't have school today.
yeah, the snow can stop a lot of things, but it ain't stopping us from having.
All right.
Do you remember what your favorite birthday gift ever was?
Well, I think I got a wristwatch.
A wristwatch. Do you remember how old you were?
It's 18.
18. How about what was your favorite thing to do when you were a little girl?
Oh, I love to go roller skating, and I love to do some ice skating, and I just loved to dance when I got older.
Oh. What was your favorite dance?
I think I danced many miles.
What kind of dancing? What was your favorite?
Mixed everything,
Mixed
old
everything.
and new.
Oh, good.
With who?
Who did you like to dance with?
Oh, good dancers.
Yeah. I'm with you. How was your husband's dancing?
Oh, so.
So. You had better, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he got better too.
You
As
taught
he,
him.
He began liking the dancing more when he went to more dances.
Sure.
And he liked to dance more then.
Where was the farthest place you ever traveled?
Oh, I traveled most of the United States.
Did you ever go out of the country?
No.
No.
I worked for the editor of the Preston Times at their home.
Uh-huh.
I worked for them for 5 years, and I went with them every year when they took a trip, free of charge.
Oh. That was a good deal.
It was a good deal. Their daughter wanted me to be along with them for company,
Wow.
Oh, fun.
and I was 5 years older than her.
Have you ever been to Washington, D.C.?
I sat in the president's chair,
Which president?
Hoover.
Oh, wow.
Hoover was not there at the time. He was on a vacation. And so we got to go through the White House and see the kitchen and all the dishes and silverware and a lot of things that they didn't see otherwise.
What fun.
Wow. Why were you in the White House? On vacation?
Yes, it was an editorial for all the editors.
Oh, a
And
conference.
They all were there. I sat on the president's bed, his big bed.
Oh. Do you remember the first car you rode in?
Car.
Yes.
Well, it would have to be a Model T, I guess. And yes, it's exciting.
Yeah. Did it belong to your father?
Yeah.
Yes.
And he didn't care about driving. He was a horseman.
Oh.
He loved horses. And so then as soon as my oldest brother was old enough to drive the car, well, we had a steady driver.
Sure. How many siblings did you have, Louise?
11.
11.
I was the middle one. I had 6 brothers and 5 sisters. No, 4 sisters.
Do you remember when you got electricity in your home?
I sure do. Got tired of filling lamps with kerosene and washing black lamp chimneys, and well, it was a job that had to be done. And carrying wood, carrying water.
Do you remember when you got a toilet that flushed?
Yes, the first one.
Yeah.
That was exciting.
Oh. And your first bath with running water?
Oh yes. Yep.
And you didn't have to run the water, did you?
No.
And he
It just seemed like a dream, you know. Like it really isn't true, but we knew it was.
Uh-huh.
It was wonderful to have.
So where was your favorite place to go when you were on vacation? What was your favorite spot that you went to?
Well, exciting. We went up to Pikes Peak, and that was kind of different because it was more and more there when we started out down below. And by the time we got up at the top, we were putting on coats and heavy clothing and looked around and we could see 7 cities from the top of the Pikes Peak. That was kind of exciting.
Is there anything you really would have liked to done but never got to try?
Well,
You never rode on a snowmobile, did you?
but no one,
You never rode on a snowmobile?
no,
No, we talked about that.
I could have.
You could have. Does he have a snowmobile?
I was scared of. I never really was attracted to them. I like to watch them and watch others, but I see them tip over and everything else. I didn't see myself tipped over in a snowdrift.
This fellow that's taping you came here on a snowmobile, Louise.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well,
And he's not going to tip over.
no, but not.
Did you have a big garden, Louise?
Oh, I had the biggest garden, and I put up the most stuff. I canned stuff, I froze stuff, and I made so terrible much of it that we had stuff to eat from our freezer the year round.
Good for you.
And I enjoyed putting it, and I raised so terrible much stuff in my garden. I had an awful big garden.
Louise, what is the biggest change, or what do you think has made the biggest change for us in the years that you can remember?
The biggest change in my life?
Yes, the biggest change in your life, or the biggest change that you've seen happen that has the most impact, or that's the most important. What do you think that would be?
I guess it was when I got married.
When you got married.
Oh. Was that your first kiss? When you got married, was that your first kiss?
Yes.
It was.
Yes, it was.
And how old were you, Louise?
I was 19.
19.
Wow.
How old is he?
How old was your husband?
5 years older.
5 years older.
Was that his first kiss too?
Oh, I doubt it.
I doubt it too,
Do you remember World War I and World War II?
I really remember some things about World War I that I wasn't married, of course, at that time, but I knew my boyfriend's mother was awfully sick, and she passed away from World War flu.
Mm-hmm.
And he had 2 brothers that were in the World War. One went overseas, and one was here. And I remember how all this had school closed up and stores closed up, and it looked like a dead town, you know, lumber yards and everything like that. That was always so busy. Everything closed down.
Mm-hmm.
Louise, where did you grow up as a child? Where did you live when you were
Well,
young?
we lived in several places. I was born in Newburgh, Minnesota,
Yeah.
and then we moved out to Stacy. That was 35 miles north of the cities. And my dad didn't like the farm, couldn't raise corn, and he was a corn hog man. Couldn't raise, well, mostly just potatoes. And I don't know if he lived there 8 years, but our house burned down while we were there. We built a new house, a new barn, and a new machine shed on that farm. And then decided I'm going to go back where I came from. And we moved back to within a mile of where we lived before, where he was started up with. He had purebred cattle. He had a nice start with cattle and stuff, and he felt real bad about, you know, selling that stuff and then moving way out there. So we moved back again and kind of got into the farming deal again.
How long did you live by Spring Grove on your farm?
53 years.
53 years. Harley is wondering if they ever had a shivaree for you when you got married.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes, they had that.
What's your favorite memory about Christmas?
Oh, we seldom had a boughten Christmas tree. We had a lot of kind of pine trees and stuff on our woods, and we'd go out in the woods and try and find a real nice one. Some years we wanted a kind of small one, but one year, oh, we were putting it to reach the ceiling. And we would string corn, popcorn, and cranberries and stuff. Besides we had some boughten decorations, but we made a lot of them.
A favorite Christmas gift that you got, Louise? Do you have anything in mind that you...
Bathrobe.
A bathrobe.
Do you remember what color?
Rose.
Rose. And how old were you then?
I was about 12, 13.
Oh.
Did she go on a honeymoon?
Did you go on a honeymoon when you got married?
Oh, yeah, so up around the cities.
Okay. Around the cities.
Did you drive or did you go by train or?
We had our own car. New Chevrolet.
Did you have a license and drive, Louise?
Yeah, but I didn't care about driving.
You never liked it.
My husband always was after me to keep your license, keep your license. And why? Well, he said sometime I might be sick and not able to make a trip to town, and you could drive to town and get our needs. But I'd go. And when I got to be needing the groceries, I called up the grocery store and ordered the stuff, and they'd have the stuff all packed up ready. And I'd send my husband, if you are too sick, drive up there and pick up the groceries. And they did that quite a few times.
So have you ever had a car accident? No?
No, I didn't drive fast. My sister loved to drive a car, and she could change the tires, and she could, in the days when they dealt with spark plugs, you know, tuning them up, and she just loved to drive. And she did a lot, she did a lot of driving. She could change the tire.
Would you like a piece of cake?
Be nice.
Oh, you sweetheart, I'm in love with you. Let me hear you whisper that you love me too. Keep the love light glowing with your eyes so blue. Let me call you sweetheart, I'm in love with you. Yay! Woohoo!
Where did you go to school?
Oh, I went to a country school in Stacy. I guess that's where I started school.
In where?
In Stacy, Minnesota, that's north of the cities.
Okay.
We lived there. And then I went to Newburgh School and Mabel School. I guess it is.
And did you complete the 8th grade? Is that correct?
Just completed the 8th. What?
When you worked at the newspaper, what was your
Oh,
job
well,
there?
I worked at the home.
You worked at the home of the people who owned,
Yeah.
who ran
See,
the paper.
Mr. and Mrs. A.H. Langham, and she worked in the office. She worked in the office, so I was in the home alone with their 11-year-old daughter. And I did everything in the home then, the washing, ironing, dusting, cooking, all of it.
Okay.
And I worked there for 5 years. They took me on all their vacations. They took a vacation every summer. And I went on all their vacations with them, free of charge.
Tell me about your baby chicks.
My baby chicks?
Yeah.
Oh, I had 600 every year.
You raised that many every year?
Well, I bought them at the hatchery when they were a day old. And then I raised them up to laying hens, and then we got rid of all our old hens then, and to make room for the young ones in the hen house. And so we butchered them and sold them, and moved our pullets then into the hen house, started laying eggs on the floor.
Oh.
And they were very good laying hens. They were the heavy type white leghorns, a new strain. They were wonderful. But still, we got 600 every year of them.
Can we go back to your school days and what was your favorite subject?
Language,
Language? Did you like to write or read?
quite well.
Quite well.
Reading and language. I didn't care about history.
Okay.
I didn't like that too good.
Can you talk a little bit about the chores with the chickens?
The what?
Your chores that went along with raising the chickens.
Oh yes. You had to wash these fountains every day and fill the little feeders and then we discovered we had a fence around the brooder house so we let them out. But there became a hole in the fence and some got under the brooder house. And what do you suppose? A rattlesnake had gone under there and gobbled up some of those little chickens.
Did you catch the snake?
We caught him,
What'd you do with him?
killed him. He had a big hole from the outside, and then they say where there's one, there's another one. And we never found the other one, but when I was digging out some stuff in a nearby bluff, I thought it was such a pretty little bluff. I wanted to plant some flowers around there. And I reached underneath them, dragging out some twigs and stuff. And here I got a hold of a rattlesnake's head.
Oh, you didn't get bit, did you?
No, this one was dead.
Oh, good.
And it was just shiny. It was just nothing on it. And the ants eat that all off.
What did you do with it then?
What did I do? Oh, I was so scared. There's nothing to that. There's no poison there because it was dried up. I got a big bag, put it in the bag, and I said to my husband, let's haul this up to the dump ground tonight. We got up to the dump ground. The dump ground had closed for the day. So I took and I threw this bag over the fence. I got rid of him. You can have plenty of funny experience. A calf was with his mother, and there was this bluff near there, and the calf decided to jump across an opening between two rocks. Luckily he slipped and he fell in there and landed upside down, and we were looking all over for this calf, nice white calf. And finally I said, here he is. He's laying here upside, and you know they can't lay upside down very long, they'll die. And I guess we just saw him in time, got a rope and pulled on him, tipped him over, and he fell quite a ways. But the mother was down below. We knew he was near there. And we got them both in the barn, and he was going to drink milk till his belly was big as a barrel, and we took and tied him up so he couldn't get any more, or he could bust.
Overdo it, huh?
Yeah.
Too much of a good thing.
It was a beautiful, beautiful big white calf. He lived, he was just fine.
Good. Do you have a favorite food that you enjoy?
Oh, lutefisk.
Lutefisk?
Yes, do you like that?
I don't, but tell me how to make it.
Oh, that's so easy. They used to soak it, but they don't have to do that anymore. You just wash it, wrap it up in a cheesecloth, put it in a kettle of cold water, cover it, and let it come to a boil. And when it boils, then turn the heat off, let it stand there for about 6 minutes, pick it up out of the water, it's ready to eat. Put melted butter on it, or melted butter and cream cooked up together. that's very good on it. And put it on potatoes. Some people like them mashed. I like them just kind of broken up. And oh, I love lutefisk.
Did you eat it at a certain time of the year or just whenever you wanted it?
Whenever I could get it.
Whenever you could get it.
But you know, you could get it in the stores in the summertime. Mostly it started about, well, the last part of October you could start to getting it. In the bigger places they have fish stores. You can get it there.
Do you remember how much you paid for it?
A big price.
A big price?
Big price. Yes, it's always been expensive.
And it still is.
Yes, and it's, you could get real good lutefisk and get some that's not so good too. I remember one grandma.
Grandma?
I stayed with her when I was about 10 years old. She was not feeling well, and they knew we had a lot of kids at our place. They could stay and they could report how Grandma was feeling to a neighbor lady who didn't live very far away. So that, but you know, she couldn't talk English and I couldn't talk Norwegian.
How did you communicate then?
It was hard. She had a son, bachelor son. He stayed there, but he went out working in the daytime. And so when he came home at night, oh God, I'd stand by the window with my face flat to the glass looking for him. But he came home because he could talk English.
He was your translator then?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was great when he came. He had 1 cow to milk and 25 chickens. Well, she didn't milk the cow, but she fed the chickens. Threw some oats and corn on the ground. And chippy, 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 chippy.
They were happy to be fed, huh?
Yeah. Oh, she was calling them chippy, 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 chippy.
She called them to come out.
I guess it's kind of a Norwegian call. Well, the chickens understood it. She opened the door and out they came. Oh, she was a good-hearted grandma. She would churn butter, and she baked bread, and she washed clothes, and she meant to be awful good to me, but you know, it was hard to understand what she meant. She had a bowl of sugar lumps up in her cupboard. She'd give me one of them once in a while. And then she had some more candy. That was peppermints, only peppermints. You get a peppermint once in a while.
That was a big treat.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes, and then my other sister and her sister, they had a ticket turn and stayed down there for a while. We were going to school, and somebody else came to school, and they said to me, you know something? Your grandma's awful sick. They don't think she's going to live. Told me that in school.
Oh.
I went home and I told that to my folks, and they drove down there that evening, and she was very sick. She had gallbladder. And they didn't have doctors in those days. They didn't know anything about taking care of. My Owen's mother, she fell, slipped on the ice and broke her hip, and they couldn't do anything. They just lifted her in the bed, and then they lifted her out of bed and put her in a big rocking chair with a pillow and quilts in it.
That was your mother?
That was my husband's mother.
Oh, okay.
And she finally lived that way. And they got a chance to buy the home farm if they took care of their parents, which they did then. And they bought the farm, 186 beautiful acres over by Newhouse, and bought that for $5,000, just practically nothing. But they took care of them.
she
See, they didn't have nursing homes.
ever do anything naughty as a child?
They had what they called a poor farm.
Tell me a little bit about that.
A poor farm was where they took old people who didn't have anyone to take care of them. It was a farm, and those that were able to work, they worked. They raised a lot of food that they ate there, like garden stuff, and they said that it helped a lot in buying the food, because they had some cattle and they had some for butchering or some hogs for butchering, and all kinds of other vegetables. They made sauerkraut and they made everything.
Do you have anything you want to do or accomplish this next year?
I never thought about it. I just thought I was 102 years old. I'm an old lady.
What helped you become 102?
I worked hard. Lived on a farm and did a lot of man work on a farm. Cleaned barns, fed cattle, fed hogs. Anything they went along, so I went along fencing with them. I knew how to put up a new fence. I knew everything about how they do it, and measuring and stretching the wires. And
Do you remember buying your first house?
yeah,
Do you remember what you paid for it?
we got it awful cheap. $3,400, I think. Of course, it was an old house, and we did a lot of remodeling and fixing on it, and added a room onto it, and then we fixed on some of the other buildings, and 3,400, and we sold for 80,000.
Wow, that's a good profit.
It was. Of course, there's a lot of fixing. We built a garage and a milk house, new, and remodeled in the house and moved the summer kitchen down by the house and added a room.
Where was this house?
About 5 miles from Spring Grove.
Out near Blackhammer?
Yeah.
Who were some of your neighbors?
Otterness, Good Termson, Westy, Hausker. That's the closest ones.
Did you ever do any sewing?
Yeah, out of feed sacks, but I couldn't sew a dress. I could make aprons, pillowcases, sheets, some doilies kind of for the kitchen table, just simple things like that.
But you didn't sew your own clothes.
I was going to make a dress one time, and my mother was there, and she helped me cut it. They helped me cut it out, my mother and my sister-in-law. And they said, well, you couldn't go wrong on this now. Just put it together and sew it. And I said, you want to bet? By God, I did sew it together wrong.
Oh, then what happened?
I was so mad that I didn't take it apart. I was so mad I gave it to my sister-in-law. I said, you want to take this apart and sew it together, right? You can have it. Yeah, she would do that. And I never tried to make another one. I won 6 silver teaspoons at roller skating one time.
How did you win them?
Contest.
A roller skating contest.
Well, it's how it was costumes.
Oh.
And I was dressed up like a little girl. And my neighbor lady she pushed that. She had a dress and she had several different things in her trunk. she dug them up and she said, "You go and get your hair curled." Went to the beauty shop and had curls put around the
Little ringlets?
yes, and then she had a great big wide hair ribbon fastened in the back of my hair. No, one of 6 teaspoons.
Where did you go roller skating?
Lanesboro.
In Lanesboro.
Then it was in the machine shop or machinery. They used to store machinery in there, but they had that all removed and made it for roller skating rink.
Who did you go skating with?
With the boys and girls. There was about 4, sometimes 6 of us went in the car.
Okay.
We were just a bunch of friends, no lovers. One night a guy had a bottle, I think he had some kind of strong drink, I don't know what it was, some whiskey or something. And he had that in his hind pocket in his pants he wore, and he fell down and this broke. It broke into maybe 1,000,000 pieces. The boy couldn't hardly walk off the floor. And then boss took him in. He had a little office there. Took him in and they slipped this off from him. And he had an old extra pants around there, put it on him. And he said, "Now don't you take this home and wash it. You take it home and you burn it up because you cannot wash out that fine glass out of there. It'll always be in there and you will get stuck many times from that." So he did. He said he took it home and he had it in a big paper bag and he put it in the stove and burned it up.
Did he get hurt? No.
No, he didn't, but he hurt a little bit taking it off.
Have you ever been out on a boat on the Mississippi or?
I've been on a boat. I was on a boat going from New York City out to the Statue of Liberty.
Oh, when was that?
Oh, I was a young girl then. On one of our trips.
Just went all over the country with the rest of the time.
That was a regular ocean steamer.
Oh, a big one.
Yep.
Hope you have a good rest of the day
Well, yes, it'll be nice.
and another good year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we can do this again in another year when you're 103.
Is this gonna be a write-up in some paper?
Yeah, the Herald. Just the Spring Grove.
We'll hope. All right. Thanks, Louise.
Okay, yeah, it should be next week.
Well, you're 102. You're not a young person anymore, you know.
You're special.
You got a few years on you.
And you're pretty special.
Well, I guess I'm just a common person.